ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone in between and adjacent, welcome to the Rush Rundown, what I believe is the first and only 10-minute testing ripoff for Rush Duels. Today on the Rush Rundown, we finish our coverage of the brand new mini-box by taking a second look at a previously featured deck. Just like one would upgrade a computer, Konami has introduced some brand new pieces to upgrade this strategy. Historically unplayable in paper, let's go ahead and see if Konami has made this deck any better in Duel Links. So, please allow me to introduce to you High Tech Dragons Fusion.
We have technology.
This is the part of the video where I tell you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. That's right, today we're taking a second look at Yuamu's High Tech Dragon deck. You might recognize these bad boys from, I guess, kind of being send-ups to the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes Black Dragon. So, Yuamu, one of the protagonists from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush anime, plays these high-tech dragons, and honestly, they were considered to be pretty bad. Yes, this strategy definitely was not one that did much for the paper play, but like most strategies, when the cards come to Duel Links, they get a stupid broken skill. The brand new skill for this strategy is Super Sonic Fusion Enhancement. Reveal one Blue Fang Burst Dragon or Red Boot Boost Dragon in your hand from turn 2 onward. If all the monsters you construct deck are Dragon-type monsters and all the level 7 or higher monsters are Blue Fang Burst Dragon and or Red Boot Boost Dragon, add one Booster Wyvern from your deck to graveyard to your hand, then you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard. If you do, also add one Dragon's Burst Fusion, Dragon's Boost Fusion, or Stripping Wyvern from your deck to your hand, each card once per duel. All things considered, that is a skill that genuinely does everything deck needed. It searches the fusion cards, because like I said at the top, this is a fusion strategy, and it also searches the fusion material. The brand new fusions, which weren't mentioned on the skill at all, are Blue Fang Enhanced Burst Dragon and Red Boot Enhanced Boost Dragon. These guys are absolute powerhouses that have really strong effects. So, let's take a look at these big boys that we're looking to summon first. The Blue Fang Enhanced Burst Dragon. We're on 2 of these. You can play 3, but usually you don't ever summon more than 1. Usually the opponent is long dead by the time you get to the second copy. Level 9, 3000, 2000. Requires Blue Fang Burst Dragon and Booster Wyvern. Send one monster from your field to the graveyard. Destroy one face up card in either field. If you send a monster whose original level is 7 or higher to the graveyard to meet the requirement, you can also special summon one Blue Fang Burst Dragon from your graveyard to your field. So, the reason I emphasized face up card, when I was first testing this deck, I frequently forgot that said face up and thought I could use this guy as an MST. A lot of mistakes were made, and honestly, those cost me the game. But the basic idea from the Blue Fang Enhanced Burst Dragon, he sends himself to then pop a big monster, summons out your Blue Fang Burst Dragon, who then pops the little guys with his effect to get a big attack stat and punches the opponent for a lot of damage. He's a decent removal tool and also does set you up to OTK the opponent. Our other big fusion is Red Boot Enhanced Boost Dragon. You'll notice this bad boy is actually a limit 1 card, meaning we cannot play Negate Attack, we cannot play Compost, and we cannot play Pot of Greed in this deck. Requires a Red Boot Boost Dragon and Booster Wyvern. No requirements. Choose up to 9 monsters in the graveyards. Strange wording. Usually Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a little more descriptive when they say something like this. Usually they would say, choose up to 9 monsters in either player's graveyards. Something like that. It's nice that they shortened it, but it doesn't give the brain a little pause when you read that sentence. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of chosen monsters times 200. Then this card gains attack equal to the number of chosen monsters times 200 until the next turn. Then you shuffle the chosen monsters into the owner's decks. This is really sick. This card takes this strategy to a different level where you realize the guys before, all they did was get kind of big. Like Red Boot or OG did a little bit of burn damage here and there, right? But this big guy is burning for almost 2k damage every time he activates this effect. Now, you might be saying, well, are we just expecting to go into a deep game state? How are we filling up the graves for that effect? Well, we're actually going to continue our card by card by jumping to the other cards mentioned on our skill. First, the Dragon's Boost Fusion. No requirements. Fusion summoned by sending face-up Dragon-type monsters on your field to the graveyard as material. If you send Red Boot Boost Dragon to the graveyard by this effect, you can send 7 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. If you sent a card from the deck to the graveyard, you can also send 7 cards from the top of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. So a lot of people read this and think it's like a mill tool, but no. This is our main play piece for setting up the enhanced Boost Dragon. This will most likely fill up both graveyards with enough monsters to have the burn online for enhanced boost drag. It's a really, really sick card, and honestly, in some game states, just going ahead and milling your opponent for 7 is good. Other fusion spell is Dragon's Burst Fusion. Fusion summon by sending a face-up dragon type monster to your field to the graveyard as material. If you send Blue Fang Burst Dragon to the graveyard by this effect, you can also make one face-up monster your opponent's field lose 1500 attack at the end of this turn. This is essentially what sets us up for the Blue Fang Enhance, send itself, summon the burst. So if the opponent has multiple big monsters on board, Blue Fang take care of one, fusion summoning Blue Fang with Dragon's Burst lowers down another, and then the Blue Fang Burst Dragon finishes them all. It's just really nice to have the attack lowering to set us up for the Blue Fang Burst. I know the previous skill for high-tech dragons that didn't really want the fusions, that lowered attack on its own, but this is much better and much more significant attack lower. So this deck actually takes a really interesting turn. Previously, it was more of a beatdown strategy that had this occasional board wipe like options, and it also did incidental burn damage. Now though, this deck is way more focused on a burn like strategy. The brand new fusion here does so much burn damage over time that we ended up tuning the deck to be a lot more burn focused, which ends up being a deck that people find hard to play against. A lot of people don't really treat their life points as like an actual thing until they're literally losing. You know, you'll chunk them for 12, you'll chunk them for 6, you'll chunk them for 4, and eventually it just starts adding up, and before they know it, they have died to a booster whip. Now, with those cards out of the way, let's go back to the main deck. We're on 3 Red Boost Dragon. Of course, we always want to see these guys. They're mandatory for our skill. We need to see them because they're a fusion material. So we're also on 3 Blue Fang Burst Dragon. You'll notice Blue Fang Burst Dragon is a limit 3 card, meaning we're locked out of playing any other limit 3s because we need to max out on this. We're on 3 Double Twin Dragon. Double Twin's a really nice inclusion to this deck. Yeah, he's shuffling away materials that you could be shuffling with Red Boot Boost effect or the Enhanced Boost Dragon effect, but he's also really nice just to be able to tribute some of these guys without having to worry about not having enough little dudes. We're on 3 Beta Burn Dragon. We do so much incidental burn damage with just Red Boot and then the intentional burn damage with Enhanced Boost that this starts to really stack up if you're just spamming Beta Burns, because we are shuffling back all the time with our red dragons, right? So this really does come up. We're on 2 copies of Stripping Wyvern. This is another brand new card. Also, one of the targets for our skill. Send the top 2 cards of your deck and this face a card from your field to the graveyard. Starts as a 1 Blue Fang Burst Dragon or Red Boot Dragon from your hand to the field in face-up defense position. Then you can add 1 Dragon's Burst Fusion or Dragon's Boost Fusion from your graveyard to your hand. So this sets us up by summoning out our big dudes for almost free, and then getting back a spent fusion spell. There's also times where it's come up for me where I've activated Stripping Wyvern when I was intending to use like red fusion, and then he actually ends up milling blue fusion, so I just ended up with both fusions in hand so I can summon both of our boys here. We're on 1 Star Replacer. I was playing 2 Star Replacers at first just to have a little more tribute material, but he ended up being a bit of a nombo, bit of a confliction to the deck, because using the Star Replacer effect, it does turn off the Enhanced Burst Dragon effect. I say turn off. You can still activate Enhanced Burst Dragon to pop a card. You're just not getting anything back if you send Burst Dragon. We're on 3 DBF Rebuildra, another brand new card here. During your main phase that you normal summon or special summon this card, reveal 1 Blue Fang or Red Boot Dragon in your hand. Set 1 Dragon's Burst Fusion or Dragon's Boost from your graveyard to your spell and trap zone. Just another card, good to have to recycle these if you accidentally mill them, or if you're getting the long game and you can't add them with the skill anymore. We're on 3 Booster Wyvern. This is, like I said, the fusion material on the bigger fusion dragons, and it's actually a pretty decent card in its own right. Requirement: you have Blue Fang or Red Boot face up on your field during the main phase that you normal or special summon this card. Looks at 600 damage to your opponent. It's another instance of burn damage that really does come up in the long game. I've actually finished opponents off with a Booster Wyvern in games that have gone really long. For our spell traps, we're on 2 Dragon's Inferno. Honestly, we should probably find space for the 3rd one. Maybe cut Star Replacer altogether for the 3 Dragon's Inferno. But we do end up really needing the tribute material, so I'm not sure if that's the best cut. For 11 spells, since we cannot play Pot of Greed, we are on Monster Reincarnation. This is just really good to be able to get our big dudes back in case we don't draw them. We really need to have our skill online, so if we're stuck with all the guys in the grave, it's nice to have Monster Reincarnation to just get him back. And for our traps, we're on 3 XQD writing. I would say you should probably play buffered slime over one of these writings, but I've absolutely loved using these writings to do a play where you shuffle back almost everything with enhanced boost dragon except you leave one of the 2 big guys in grave. It's very telegraphed that you have writing at that point, but it's very satisfying to summon out a 25 or 2400 attack point monster into the opponent's like end board. Anyway, for our legend trap, we're on Widespread Ruin. So that's it with the deck. Why don't we see it in action? All right, here we are, game number 1, and we are actually in the mirror. Yes, our opponent is also playing the high-tech Dragon Fusion deck, as you can see from their sleeves, although it seems they're a little more focused on one specific dragon. We opened a pretty decent hand opening all the traps, so we're just going to set traps and set our 2 monsters and go ahead and pass it up. Gonna normal summon 2 guys. Beta Burn Dragon burn us for a little bit. Activating Dragon's Inferno, popping one of our back row. That's fine. They hit a writing, meanwhile we have a whole nother one. We're actually toggled off at this point in the live game because we do not want the opponent to know we have widespread when they only have the smaller dudes. Obviously we have to be worried about what their back row actually is. I'm assuming they open kind of similar to us. And we draw for turn. Now you see we got 2 of the Blue Fang Burst Dragons. So we're going to activate our skill, add the Booster Wyvern, pitch the extra Blue Fang. That was probably a mistake. We probably should have actually kept the Blue Fang. We probably would have had a line to summon both of them, as well as get our fusion on board. So here we go. Contribute summon the Blue Fang with the with the Star Blazer, but that's fine. Glad we actually did this way now. So our Blue Fang gets trampled. So we add it back with the Monster Reincarnation, summon the Double Twin. So we can in fact now tribute summon the Blue Fang we just added back. And now we will summon the Booster Wyvern. Wyvern effect and burn them for 600. And we actually decide here not to make the fusion, but we go ahead and pop the board with the Blue Fang Burst Dragon just to get more damage. It's not a great position for us to be in, actually. They could just really pop off on this next turn, but at least we are protected with both Widespread Rune and the XQD writing. You see they finally drew a target for their skill, so we're going to go ahead and activate the skill, revealing their own Blue Fang, which we're almost safe from. They can obviously pop our Booster Wyvern with that. So an Apple Lizard, activate Dragon's Inferno, popping our new set for some reason, which is the Burst Fusion, of course. Beta Burn, burning us for another 200, not too significant. Normal summoning the Booster Wyvern, and here comes the Blue Fang Burst Dragon. And you might realize, wait, they don't have fusion or anything. Well, we in writing, because we were expecting them to go for the fusion. I really thought because they were using this last back row that it was probably just one of the fusion set, but it clearly wasn't. They activate their effect and pop our Booster Wyvern, but that walks right into our Widespread Rune. Now they're pretty much dead 7 ways from Sunday, but we are still a little worried about what this back row could be. You can see that we didn't actually draw anything to out back row, so we're going to kill them a little bit of a special way. Normal summon 2 guys, summon out the Red Boot Boost Dragon, activate the effect, shuffle some guys away. Let's get the burn damage going. This takes so much time in real time. The shuffling all the guys back like this. You can see how long this animation is. I'm not even fast forwarding right now. I'm probably gonna do that for the later games, but this takes a long time, especially if you're resolving the enhanced Boost Dragon. All right, so we're gonna activate our skill, add the fusion, Booster Wyvern, burn them for 600. We're just trying to kill them without going battle because we would get absolutely blown out by something like a buffered slime that they were toggling off on. So there we go, the enhanced Boost Dragon comes out, and it's just a matter of finishing them off. So we're just going to shuffle back all this stuff. You can give it a little bit of a deck profile on their end, see what kind of stuff they had. They had some good cards coming if they didn't just die to burn. Well, you can see we are clearly the superior high-tech dragon duelist. Alright, here we are, game number 2, and our opponent is on Light Galaxy. Yes, Light Galaxy, the deck that I think is one of the most terrifying decks in the format. It has such a high ceiling, it's unbelievable. We are going second, so they're going to go first, and obviously they're just going to set a bunch of cards. Sorry about that. Set 3 monsters, 1 spell trap, and pass. We do have to be worried here because, again, we do not have any spell trap destruction, but at least we can activate our skill. Revealing the Blue Fang, pitching our reincarnation. Not really sure why I did that. But let's summon 2 guys. Beta burn them for 300. That will come up. Summon up the Blue Fang Burst Dragon, we do have to be worried about their guys having 1500 defense. I know Like Galaxy has a couple of those. Summon out the Booster Wyvern, burn them for 600, activate the Dragon's Burst Fusion. So it does seem like a bit of a misplay to, sorry again, to go down to just one monster on the field. But we are kind of trying to resolve this writing, because I felt like at the time this was going to be our only thing to really save us in the event they start popping off. No response out of the back row, but boy, have a lot to worry about. They reveal it was Leica and Eve sent on board. Thank God we didn't clear the board for them. Universal Storm drawn probably off the Podgrid, popping our back row. There goes that. Tribute 2, here comes the Galactic Oblivion. Transcend Klein. Fusion, they could summon, yep, here he comes. The big Eternal Galactica Oblivion. Thankfully, we didn't do the red boot fusion, or else this guy would be extra huge. Activating the effect, shuffling some of their cards back. This also takes forever. They go up to 4,700, hit us for 17 and 1,600 with their Trans Am lineup. This is a board to be very scared about. This thing can get super out of hand. So let's try and take it out. We activate our skill, revealing the red boot we drew, and Booster Wyvern, pitch the Stripping Wyvern. That guy is not going to come up this turn, so we'll go ahead and get rid of him. Summoning out the Double Twin and popping that back row. Ooh, he was riding. That would have been very bad for us. Beta Burn, burn them again for 200. Double Twin, we're going to shuffle some cards back. This is a big misplay here. I realized way too late that Beta Burn can't do anything. In real time, I was thinking I'd be able to attack directly, but then I realized, oh wait, I cannot clear the line act right now. So we're just going to go ahead and use Red Boot to get some extra burn damage going. And 4. Shuffling back again takes forever. Summoning the Booster Wyvern, hitting them for another 6. And now the Dragon's Boost Fusion. Let's go ahead and mill out the 2 decks. Let's just hit fast forward on this one. There they go. Alright. Shuffle back. Let's skip this too. Come on. Oh, even fast forward, it's still very slow. Oh boy. In for 18. And you might notice, wait a second. This is genuinely just lethal on board. So if the fast forward could help us get through this a little bit quicker, we'll swing into the Trans Am lineup. Board game! Cool. So here we are, game number 3, and you know what that means. 1v1 versus... Oh, wait. What's that? Oh, this is actually a game against Hero, because despite everything, I do consider Master Accelerator to be the better deck than Hero. The latter is literally just Hero players. So we're going first, and we opened a terrible hand. Can't tribute summon any of these guys, especially when you know the opponent's on Hero, so we're going to go ahead and set 3 dudes who have basically little stats and pass it the turn. They go and activate Elemental Circulation, which is essentially Graceful Charity, sending a whole bunch of cards, drawing a whole bunch of cards. It's really hard to keep track of these things. No, something Argent Effect, revealing another Circulation, Miracle Fusion, and Avian. Fortunately, they did in fact hit at least 1 card. You really hope that this means that maybe they won't be able to fusion. Ooh, there's the second Elemental Circulation. You see they're on 3 here. That's a thing I did early on that honestly felt like it was just a little too much. Here they go, normal summoning the Avian, activating the Hero Rush Rising, setting the Argent, targeting the Avian because of course our guys are face down. Spar, command the normal summons, so they go Fusion, summon out the Voltic Wingman. This will allow them to then essentially Miracle Fuse with this guy to summon out the Flame Wingman. But we're not too worried, there is a bunch of dead cards, and wow, they managed to attack into the only 0/0 with Flame Wingman, so we take no damage. We did get to keep Beta Burn, which is nice, just having another body is really cool. Activate our skill since we have these 2 dudes in our hand, and we're going to go for a line with the Blue Fang Dragon. So we're going to head and tribute summon that Blue Fang Burst Dragon over 2 of our guys. Normal summon the Booster Wyvern, burn them for 6. Activate the Dragon's Burst Fusion. Summoning out the Enhanced Burst Dragon, lowering down the Voltic, activating the effect of our fusion, popping the Flame Wingman, and summoning back Blue Fang effect, popping the Voltic, getting big attack stat, and swinging into a strange Buffered Slime. Very strange here. They're essentially only staving off 800 damage and milling themselves. I'm not really sure why you would do that unless I was winning the game. So we go ahead and pass it, setting this executed writing, and hopefully that was enough to keep us alive. Normal Sun Avian does not instill us with very confidence, and then, oh my god, Normal Burst Centric's Miracle Fusion, summoning the Shining Flare Wing and shuffling back Flame Wing and Sparkman, but we have the writing, so we execute your writing to summon our Blue Fang Enhanced Burst Dragon. They go and activate their skill, lowering down the Blue Fang Burst Dragon and putting Burst Citrus in Grave. This is also a huge misplay on their part. They didn't target the Enhanced Burst Dragon to lower, so now we pretty much get to use this guy for free, but I think we're going to try killing him a different way. Dragons in front of popping their back row, which was just a blank fusion, adding the Booster Wyvern, adding the Red Fusion, normal summon the Wyvern, normal summon the Twin Dragon, activate the effect. Let's just get this guy off the board just in case the back row is real, and summon out the Blue Fang. Also, let's clear out the Avian as well. And then we go ahead and, you know what? Let's kill this guy. Okay, we didn't get any responses. Let's just kill this guy. So we do. Genuinely, we probably could have just like hit him a bunch with burn damage, but at the point when I remembered that he wasn't getting any responses out of the back row when we were swinging him before, I realized I think it's probably BM if we go for any kind of combo. I'm 100% certain that the back row was nothing. And I was right. Oof. Sorry about all that throat clearing in those games. Anyway, we're back with the deck, and hey, I like this. I really like this deck. It feels really interesting to have a deck that works on a separate axis than all the other decks, where beforehand the only kind of like quote-unquote burn strategy was incidental burn effects on like Noodle Ninjas or Maddox's Pyro deck, or even the original high-tech dragons. But now with the advent of these fusion cards into the game, we have so much more consistent burn damage that really starts stacking strong, and just feels really nice to play something like that. We also have these really big bodies that can prove to be pretty difficult for some people to deal with. So, like always, let's talk over the pros and cons. Like I was just mentioning, the burn damage is really good. The burn damage is super good. Very consistent. You're really doing a lot of burn damage over time, every single turn, as long as you got open plays. And it becomes really difficult for opponents to deal with that when you're stacking this damage on top of them and they're just trying to fulfill their game plan. It's similar to how Psychics would always keep gaining a whole bunch of life when you're playing out your turns, so normal lines that should be like OTK actually end up falling completely flat against Psychics because of how much life they've gained. We're the same kind of thing, except we're lowering down the opponents. So in situations where they would feel safe just normal summoning a 1600 beater, with this deck specifically, that's not good enough. That's not something they can safely do, because we already burned them down over the course of the game to where any tribute summon just punches over the 16 per game. I was also mentioning how just nice having the bodies on Red Boot and Blue Fang are. They are just these really thick guys that can be pretty difficult to out, especially if you're summoning them off of Executed Writing. Executed Writing, also, I might say, is an incredible card for this deck. Our fusions aren't restricted from being special summoned out of the grave, so that's really cool. If the opponent does something where they out one of these guys, like you saw in game 3, we do just get to summon them back with this, and their effects are online. No must-be fusion summoned on here. It's also really nice that our big dragons do also have very relevant effects. In the right board state, Blue Fang is a board clear, which is crazy. Red Boot, as well, in its own right, can swing over a lot of other big boss monsters because he can boost himself to over 3k. There's also some other really cool dragon tools, like the Beta Burn, like Star Replacer, like Double Twin, that we get to play with not really having any kind of restriction. Our skill doesn't lock us to any kind of like attribute, which is really nice. Also, I should mention the skill is a huge plus. Being able to add the boost weapon from deck or graveyard every single turn, as long as we receive one of the big guys, is really nice, and also really stacks up that burn damage a lot for putting everything on the board. Not to mention, the fusion spells themselves are also really good offensive tools. Dragon's Boost, milling the opponent, possibly hitting their key pieces that they're looking to either search or need to draw with their skill for their skills, or Dragon's Burst Fusion really setting up the Blue Fang in some opportune positions. But with all good decks, there are some downsides. The cons: when you don't see your big dragons, you are completely out of luck, where you're just playing a bunch of dudes that don't really do anything. The skill is really what ties everything together, making sure you always have access to at least 2 of the fusion materials, and you just need to find a way to the spells. That's why we have the luxury of playing cards like the Rebuildra, like the Stripping Wyvern, because we're not looking to do anything else with our main deck but outvalue the opponent and to get our fusions out. Besides that, because we're on mostly just toolbox guys, we don't really have any kind of stats in the main deck besides our big guy. So we never really find ourselves in a position where we can just like safely normal summon things and start clearing out set monsters. Speaking of set monsters, if we're stuck with only the Blue Fang Burst Dragon line, we can't really do anything to sets. Notably, like I said, the Enhanced Burst Dragon cannot target set cards. We really need to find Red Boot and make his fusion to start burning the opponent to punish the more defensive plays. We're also super weak to back row. We have no protection against Widespread. We completely lose the gate attack. Compulse absolutely kills us. Our deck just doesn't have the kind of power that lets it just power through something like a Compulse. You know, just getting Compulse on Enhanced Boost Dragon is absolutely just game over. But with all that said, I do really love this deck. I've said multiple times, I probably just repeated myself ad nauseum, I love the fact that this is a burn deck and that it's real. Anyway, with all that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like on the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. And if you made this far in the video and you would like to support me monetarily, you can actually do so for free. All you need to do is follow the Twitch channel, link in the description, and watch me when I go live. I got affiliate, so your viewership counts towards making me money. Thank you again so much for watching. Goodbye.